go work like a doctor. When I rock the mic, you got to like the way I
Oh, what's up, man? Welcome back to LidLine Sports. Hey, man, I'm still kind of new to this, Pep. I didn't know like that's exactly what I've been here was gonna do, but hey, LidLine Sports, man. It's your boy Lil O. You got Renault, Pepe, Bean with me. You see, No G in the building. He's in New Orleans living his best life, and since it is 100% basketball season, playoffs. I've taken over today as the main host. And what's up, Pep?
Hey, how's it going? I'm good.
Doing all right.
I'm glad to see you today.
What'd you say?
I said I'm glad to have you quarterbacking today.
Oh, yeah. Man, long weekend ahead, especially or behind me, especially for me. A lot of basketball on the schedule. I know there's a lot of news of football, Pep. If you want to, get into that before we, break down this basketball playoff schedule. What's been going on in the football world?
Well, not too much, but before I want to get into that, I just want to acknowledge Friday had opening day for the Seattle Mariners. And of course, Friday was also Jackie Robinson Day. So I want to acknowledge that April 15th in Major League Baseball is always going to be Jackie Robinson Day, and it's always going to have the number 42 prominently figured in that. So, and good thing is the Seattle Mariners won that game 11-1 over the rival Houston Astros, who over the years have been putting a good licking on the Mariners, but not this weekend, huh? This weekend, the Mariners took 2 out of 3 and looked pretty good doing it. They won, like I said, 11-1, and then yesterday they took a 7-2 win. Saturday, sandwiched in that, they couldn't get past Houston because what? Justin Verlander, who they can't beat, took care of them. So that you could throw that out because it's normal. We don't expect to beat Verlander ever, and he's one of those guys that we just can't get over. So but I'll take it every time. 2 out of 3. So sounds good to me.
I was actually fortunate. I went to opening day, or I guess opening night, on Friday, and I will tell you the energy was electric. To be there for that, to see the Mariners beat, who is still a good Houston Astros team, from the home crowd to begin the home stand, and also finally putting together a pretty good roster. I mean, yes, they've been actually pretty decent these last 2 years with what they had. We all know that this was the first year in a long time that general manager DePoto actually spent a little bit of money this winter. Got some pieces through trade, so see those guys play. It was really good. It's a really good feeling, and I really think that whole curse of not making the playoffs for the last 20 years should be broken this spring. You think so, Pep?
Well, I would like to think so, but we got a long way to go.
Yeah.
To get to that point. Right now they stand at 5-5. So in the first 10 games, they're pretty much even up. Their first 7 games, they were on the road in Minnesota and Chicago. And Chicago right now probably has the best record in baseball, or at least in not in baseball, but in the American League right now.
Yeah.
So, but Minnesota's middle of the road, and they only split with them 4 games, and then they lost 2 out of 3 to Chicago. So basically, we were 3-4 heading into the homestand. So they needed this 2 out of 3 And I said to Michael Carter, and what's up, Mike? I see you on there. Rhonda Dorsey, shout out to you guys. Thanks for coming on as usual. I told Michael that on this homestand they got 9 games. They play the Astros 3 times. They play Texas coming up 3 times, and then they got Kansas City over the weekend. And I said they need to win 6 at least. The minimum they have to win 6 out of these 9 games. So right now they got 2. So they got to take 2 out of 3 of the next 2 series, and it would be nice if they could sweep one, if not both of them. So if they can do that, then I think they'll be on track.
Bats got going over the weekend, so that's a good sign for sure.
Yeah, Adam Frazier started off a little slow on the road trip, but came home. He hit 4 for 5 Friday, and then he got another couple of hits yesterday. So as the leadoff guy, you need that guy to set the table and get things going, and that's a good sign. The bullpen has been pretty good. They were lights out last year, if you remember, and so far so good with that. They're still steady as she goes. So as long as they starting pitching can continue, keep steady. Robbie Ray pitches tomorrow. He had a rough one, his second outing, but he had a magnificent first outing. So let's hope that he can come back to his normal self. Marco had a rough go his first outing, but came back solid his next go around. And of course, Logan Gilbert and Matt Brash have both been pretty good as young pitchers. Flexen has been okay, but we need to see him pick it up a little bit more. So the starting pitching, as long as you can get 5-6 innings out of your starters, you should be in good shape.
Great analysis of the pitching. I think you hit that right on with all those guys. But yeah, just like you said, series versus Kansas City starts tomorrow. Have our ace.
I think it's Texas. Is it Kansas City tomorrow?
Yes, Texas Rangers. Texas Rangers tomorrow. Back at home. We got our ace on the mound. So yeah, I agree with you.
And Texas is struggling.
Yeah, they are.
They just lost. Yeah, that's the thing. They're struggling. They went 1-5 on their own homestand. So and then Simeon hasn't gotten off the schneid, and Corey Seager, he's done okay, but they haven't done what they're expected to do. Now they can score. They still score runs. I mean, even though they're not hitting well, they still get 5-6 runs, and that's alarming because they give up a lot, but they can still score a lot. And the Mariners, right now, it's the last 2 of the last 3 games they've scored well, but typically they're not very good, scoring runs. So that's gonna have to change. Hopefully they can get to Texas and put a little hurting on them. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Not too much else going around in the sports world and other news. I know there was a big boxing match on Saturday.
Yeah, I don't watch that.
Yeah, I didn't watch it either. Any of you guys watched it out there in the LidLine world? Let us know what you guys thought of the fight. But yeah, no, I think we got a little bit of football news.
Yeah, the NFL is kind of slow right now, but they begin their voluntary team activity workouts this week, and we have already got rumblings that there are guys that are now. This is all voluntary, but there are guys that definitely say they're not showing up for any kind of workouts or any kind of activities whatsoever until they get a new deal. And the big name so far has been Debo Samuel from San Francisco, A.J. Brown out of Tennessee, and Terry McLaurin out of Washington Commanders. They all said that, they're looking for new deals. And of course, with the big contracts from the wide receiver, especially Devontae Adams, those top tier wide receivers are looking at those contracts and saying, hey, we want ours too.
Definitely.
Now, before folks start getting all crazy. Now let's realize this. Us folks here in the normal world, we don't know each other's pay, right? Because if we did, there'd be some of that. We'd be
Mm-hmm.
doing the same stuff. You'd be, man, you'd be like, how come Anita's making more than Irene, who's been here longer, or how come Todd, with all his reprimand, still makes more than Scott, who has no tardies and comes in on time, and stuff like that, and he never calls out. So
Definitely.
just relax. Professional sports, we know that the salaries are broadcast all over the universe, and so they make a whole lot of money. But so you know what? That's just the way it is. When you see a guy that you think that you should be paid just like him, or so equal to him, or a little bit more, you're gonna raise a little stink, and that's normal. That's just what happens, right? What do you think? Oh,
No, you're exactly right. I think that's the good thing with professional sports is you see players coming out and resetting the market for other players, and I think it's a good thing for the
absolutely.
players to get their value. Especially, I've always said, and I don't understand, in out of every sport, every professional sport, how football, which is the most dangerous and violent by far, how guaranteed contracts just aren't like aren't like solidified thing. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I am definitely, if there's any sport, I don't care how good you are. If there's any sport where I'm all for any player not stepping out and risking his body on that field until they are paid accordingly, I'm not mad at it at all. And just like you said, it's
Yeah,
voluntary out as well too. So yeah.
yeah, absolutely. These guys put a lot on the line, and so they
Mhm.
deserve to get paid, compensated thusly. So but I got some good news. DK Metcalf says that he is going to show up, and he has not made any kind of extension demands whatsoever as of yet, of course. But that's a good sign, because all this talk about guys, DK. Well, all this, a lot of rumors and speculation of what's going to happen with DK, whether Seahawks are going to move him or extend him, and he hasn't said one way or the other as far as his money is concerned, which is a good sign, because he also says that he's not looking to be traded. We've heard that before,
Yeah.
but this one seems more truthful, only because of the fact that when Kansas City put it out there on a meme that hey DK, we're checking you out. He was like, we got the door open for you, and he said, well, you might as well close that door. It's cold. You know,
Yeah.
so he didn't have to say that. He could have just let it go. Unlike some others that might have played into that. We know that Kyler Murray is upset still, and he said he's not reporting at all unless the new deal is done. That means what? It's voluntary training camp. So it looks like Arizona might have a little bit of a mess on their own hands. So Seattle's not the only one that's got issues with quarterback and personnel. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens on that regard.
And
And
even
with
back
the
to that.
NFL, yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say even like back to that DK Metcalf situation. Just kind of piggybacking on the trade rooms and all that. I watched an interview.
Hmm.
I think maybe a few days or a week after Russell Wilson was traded. And you're right. Maybe he's just being a professional and saying all the right things. But he said that he felt as if that this was his chance to now become a leader on this team. He said he felt like he'd always, taken a step back because they had a Russell Wilson. But now that Russell is not here and moved on, he said he felt like, this is his time now to be a leader on this team. So just seeing him showing up early. I like it. I'm liking what I'm hearing from him. I'm liking what I'm seeing. I hope it's not true that he is on the trade blocks. I would really like to see him here for years to come.
Yeah, great point. I feel the same as you. I like that idea that he wants to take a leadership role, that he feels that way now. So, we'll see. The
Mhm,
NFL draft is getting close, just about a week
mhm.
and a half away. And I heard on I was told, I didn't actually hear it, but a friend of mine told me on the radio this morning that Seahawks are entertaining the idea of trading down from number 9 to number 18 and 19, which would be the New Orleans Saints spots.
Hmm.
How do you feel about that? I'll tell you how I feel in a few, but I just want to know your thoughts.
I
And
mean,
folks, I want you to chime in too. Give me a comment on here and tell me what you think about the Seahawks trading down, possibly from the number 9 spot.
I mean, a couple points for me. I mean, we've had this conversation for the last few weeks that this is if the Seahawks aren't locked in on a player in the draft, they have no problem moving down. And we all agree that having a top 10 pick, you would think you'd want to use that towards a player instead of trading down in the draft. But once again, we're not in the brass. Maybe there's just not a player for them that is just popping out. Uh, but we talked about this last week. There is team needs that they can get at that number 9 position. So I don't. I hope it doesn't happen, but just like we all said, we're not going to be surprised if it does.
Yeah, I don't like the idea because we all know that trading down happens because the Seahawks have always been good the last 10 years,
Mhm.
and they've been in the low end of the
Good
first
point.
round or high end of the second round. So yeah, you could trade down from there because you can find talent that's equal or equivalent to what's there at your spot already. Plus, you can get
Mhm,
more players. I get that.
mhm,
But when you're in a top 10 position, I don't agree with trading down because of the fact that top 10 means you can get an impact player. And the Seahawks need an impact player in the worst way.
mhm.
And they
Agreed.
need an impact player at the edge, or they need an impact player perhaps at cornerback, or even an impact player at the offensive tackle, depending on who's available at their spot at number 9. My thing is, I'm afraid if they trade to the number 18 or 19 spot that they're looking to get a quarterback, which I feel
Mm.
is the wrong move because they don't want to pick the quarterback at number 9.
Yeah.
It's too high for the talent that's out there right now. And if they're fixated on this quarterback, that worries me too because I don't want them to be fixated on getting a quarterback right now. They need to be fixated, like you mentioned before, on getting a player that they need. And they can do that at number 9. I mean, and then plus they still have number 40 and 41. They can address other issues, uh, you know, at those spots. But number
Agreed.
18 and 19, I'm thinking, I'm afraid that if they do that, then they're trying to undercut Pittsburgh, who definitely wants a quarterback at number 20. They're looking at Willis, they're looking at Pickett, and so they're probably trying to undercut them. And I think that, man, I don't think that's the right move. I think they
Yeah.
should, like I said, get the impact player, and then in the second round, hopefully, at number 40 or 41, they can address a running back like Kenneth Walker. I hope he's still around, and then get the best available player at the other position of need. So, what do you know, folks out there, Michael Carter, Rhonda Dorsey. Rhonda, I saw your comment on DK wanting to fight everyone. Yeah, that's a good point, but it's a good thing. It's also a good sign, like we said before, that he's showing maturity, that he wants to be a leader, and we know being a leader means that he's going to hopefully stop all that nonsense, right, on the field. So, good comment there. So also this weekend we had the USFL start up.
Mhm.
So I actually caught the last quarter of the New Jersey General Birmingham Stallion game. Um, it looked like it was pretty interesting because when I caught it, it was 14-7 New Jersey, who is but by default, the team that I root for because I lived in Jersey for 20 years. So, I got an affinity for that region. So I'm going to cheer for them, root for them. I could root for Philly, but no, I'm going to go with the Generals. And of course, my team blew it, in the fourth quarter, up 24-21. The Birmingham Stallions had the ball in the 50, went 9 plays, and Jamar Smith's 2-yard scramble into the end zone with about 30 seconds left to go in the game to take the lead at 28-24. New Jersey had a chance to come back with some Hail Marys, but those don't work out, and this one did not. So they lost 28-24 to the Birmingham Stallions down in Beeham. So, did you see any action over the weekend, USFL?
No, I didn't. It's actually kind of weird.
And also,
like football right now.
What's weird to me also is they had the game on NBC and Fox at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm like, now is that going to be a normal thing, or was that just because that was the only game on the air at that time? So that's kind of weird because I don't, there are only 8 teams, so you're only going to have two games a day, for the weekend if you're going to have it Saturday and Sunday, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
and I
anyway,
guess to make a point of that, I mean, I guess Fox and NBC. Well, Fox has baseball and hockey, and NBC has hockey.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe just trying to, I guess, somewhat try to compete with ESPN and TNT right now because they have the playoffs. I don't know.
Yeah, it was just weird to me that they showed it on both, and then because I was watching on NBC at first, and I heard Kurt Menefee on there, and I know he's a Fox guy, so I'm like, wait a minute, this is NBC. So I turned it to Fox, and there he was. There the game was. So that was kind of weird. But anyway, there was another game played as well. The Houston Gamblers beat the Michigan Panthers 17-12. Houston scored all their points in the first half, thanks mainly to Michigan's Shea Patterson's snap fumble and returned for a touchdown by Houston's linebacker Reggie Northrop to put Houston ahead 11-0. The Panthers did try a second half comeback, but they came up a little bit short. And in the third game, the New Orleans Breakers beat the Philadelphia Stars 23-17. The 2-yard touchdown early in the fourth quarter by Jordan Ellis sealed the win for them. And the Pittsburgh Maulers, and they're not my team. I'm not rooting for Pittsburgh, and I'll tell you why in a second. The Pittsburgh Maulers and the Tampa Bay Bandits game was postponed until today due to weather, so I haven't gotten any kind of report on if that game has been played or is being played or what happened as of yet. But as far as the Pittsburgh Maulers is concerned, did you know that they cut a player because, now I'm not making this up, folks, I promise you, and some of you guys probably have seen this on Facebook already, but they cut him because he chose to order a pizza and not chicken salad. Now that sounds like chicken shiitake mushroom to me.
Wow.
I mean, come on, man. Are you serious? You're going to cut a guy because he ordered a pizza? I mean, supposedly a guy had walked in with the pizza and, I guess they had, the team had ordered some whatever they had and he wanted the pizza. He wanted a piece of the pizza. And they were like, all right, we're cutting you. What?
Wow.
That's insane. I've never heard of such.
I never either.
Man. So anyway, that's it for the NFL and the USFL this week. Folks, if you haven't seen the USFL yet, I'm sure you can catch it next weekend. So, like I said, there's only 8 teams. There's New Jersey, Philly, Pittsburgh, Tampa, New Orleans, I'm missing, Houston, did I cover? And Michigan. So, there's only, there's going to be what, going to be playing each other a lot. It seems like. It seems like Houston and Michigan played this week. They'll play each other 3 weeks from now, probably.
I'll have to try to catch that. It's going to be a little hard trying to squeeze that in with my playoffs, but I'm going to try to flip through some channels with one of these games.
Yeah.
Good job, Pep.
Well,
I know, right? Yeah, shout out to Pep once again with that NFL news. Every Monday, man, always on this stuff. Time to get into some NBA playoffs. Man. I know we're about to get a break here in a little bit. I'll get through some news before we get to break, and then when we come back from break, me and Pep will break down the playoff series, East and West. But some quick news: Celtics guard Marcus Smart won Defensive Player of the Year today. Very rightfully so. Marcus Smart is also, I didn't know this, Pep. He was the first guard to win it since Gary Payton won in Defense Player of the Year in 1996. I did not know that. I guess it is usually a big win. But yeah, I'm surprised by that. Also, Suns head coach Monty Williams, he was named National Basketball Coaches Association Coach of the Year for the second time in a row. Now, this is not the official NBA Coach of the Year award, but it should be, in my opinion, because this is an award that is voted by coaches, NBA coaches instead of media.
Right.
So I don't know what that's all about. I actually have a bone to pick with all the awards being voted on by media instead of actual players and coaches, even maybe former players. I don't know, general manager, but shouldn't be media. So yeah, he's also a finalist for that award as well. He should win Coach of the Year. And then Tyler Hero, Cameron Johnson, and Kevin Love, they're the finalists for Sixth Man of the Year. And then the finalists for the MVP, Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Yeah, like I said.
Hold that thought, brother. We're going to take a break real quick. So when we come back, we're going to continue on with the NBA. Lil O's we're going to break down like he said. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not being reprimanded by traffic cops, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio World.
And welcome to our live studio audience for another exciting edition of Did You Know? And here we go with round one. Did you know?
The COVID vaccine is free and easy to get. You don't need insurance or an appointment to get your vaccine. Vaccines are available at many locations near you.
And now we're going to double the value. Did you know?
The COVID-19 vaccine is always free of cost. You can visit pharmacies, community health centers, and other health providers in your neighborhood.
And now for the lightning round. Did you know?
The Delta variant of COVID is a mutation that has health experts worried because it's twice as contagious.
Then for our finale. Did you know?
The best way to protect yourself from the COVID Delta variant is to get fully vaccinated. Get your vaccine today.
Find out more at kingcounty.gov/vaccine. Did you know?
Mga kaibigan, ito po si Kuya Bert Kawili.
And this is Miles Salvador from Australia.
And I'm Norb Kawili, also known as Norbcam.
Kung gusto niyo po ang latest news and events from the Philippines at the local Filipino community, Phil-Am Radio po.
We play Filipino music and interview guests from all around the world.
And I'll keep you updated on the latest Seahawks and sports news.
Kaya always tune in, Phil-Am Radio every Tuesday, 1 to 2:30 p.m. Pacific Time on Rainier Avenue Radio World.
And in YouTube and Facebook. Salamat po.
This is your Rainier Avenue Radio World community update on online Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. If you're looking for an AA meeting, find one every day online at aaphonemeetings.org. That's aaphonemeetings.org.
Welcome to the Fitness Corner. I'm your host, Mark Bryant, and you're going to get a whole total body workout on my show, starting off with a warm-up, aerobics, strength training, cool down, and stretching. every Friday from 11:30 to 12 right here on Rainier Avenue Radio.
Northwest Film Forum's Collective Power Fund is now open for grant applications. Grants are starting at $2,000 up to $10,000 for individual or artist collectives. The annual grant cycle focuses primarily on supporting art that incites public dialogue, pushes boundaries, explores genre fluidity, speaks its truth through an authentic perspective, and is often non-traditional, anti-institutional, socially responsible, or disruptive of any existing structures and conventions. Learn more and apply at collectivepowernw.org.
You're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
What's up, everybody? We're now back to LidLine Sports. Got my boy Renault, Pepe Bean, along with me, Lil O. Don't forget, you can tune into us on the streaming apps of Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Apple, the whole shebang. Go ahead and tune into us, in your spare time, man, and listen to us talk some good sports. This here, Pep, playoff time.
Yes, sir. Thank goodness. The regular season started.
Yeah, and it actually was a really breath of fresh air because just like you guys said, you and G say a lot, the regular season has found its way over the last few years to just not be overly entertaining for 82 games. And we got off to a really good start in the playoffs over the weekend. And even to recap before that, we talked about the play-in situation last Monday. And how that panned out was the Minnesota Timberwolves beat the LA Clippers to get the 7th seed. And then the LA Clippers fell, surprisingly, to the well. There's a little bit of controversy. Paul George, before playing the Pelicans, tested positive for COVID. So he was not able to go against the Pelicans, and that ultimately hurt them. And they lost to the New Orleans Pelicans. So the New Orleans Pelicans ended up with the 8th seed. And on the Eastern Conference side, you had the Brooklyn Nets beating the Cleveland Cavaliers in that 7-8 game. So Brooklyn Nets got the 7th seed. And then
barely, too.
Yeah, barely. And then we've seen the Atlanta Hawks blow out the Charlotte Hornets. Second time in a row, the Charlotte Hornets have gotten blown out in the play-in scenario.
Yeah.
And then we've seen Atlanta Hawks, who've been here on the stage before, beat the Cleveland Cavaliers team. So they ended up with 8th seed. Now, with that being said, let's start out with the East. That 1-8 series, the Miami Heat and Atlanta Hawks, very interesting series. The Atlanta Hawks, in my opinion, don't have enough, and it was showed in Game 1. I don't know if you watched Game 1 of that game, Pep.
I did.
Okay.
I watched it, and I think they were wore out from Friday.
Good point.
That took a lot out of them. But Miami they just got too much for them right now. They're just too talented. They're too big, and they shoot lights out. They're the number 1 team in the league for 3 points shooting. Yeah. And Trae Young probably had his worst outing ever. Since probably he was in 6th grade. And so I expect that won't happen again, but it still won't be enough. I don't see it unless Miami, has a total collapse. Or they have some, unforeseen injuries happen. I think Miami probably either sweeps or wins in 5.
Yeah, and then another point of why it won't be enough, Clint Capella got hurt in their last game of the play-in.
Right.
So he's out a week. You're talking about size. He is their size. Also, John Collins is just returning from being out for the last month and a half. So who knows exactly how healthy he is, how much he can give. So now, they're going to be relying heavily on Trae Young more than they already do. And then guys like Kevin Huerter and Bogdanovich, they have to play big minutes and they have to produce. The only way that I can see
And
these guys
Gallinari.
and Dylan Gallinari, you're right. That's the only way that these guys will have any bit of a puncher's chance, in my opinion, is to get Miami up and down the court, making shots, getting the ball out in transition, and pushing the tempo. Miami, just like you said, are the best 3-point shooting team in the NBA. With that, they are really. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, here's another scary thing about Miami. They haven't even unleashed Victor Oladipo yet. I mean, he had 40 the other night. Didn't even get in the game.
Nope,
That's
he did not
frightening.
play. And I was really interested about what maybe the choice. Maybe it was just because of the momentum of the game, and Miami seemed to pretty much had a lock on that one. But you're right. That's going to be something that to keep an eye on for the Miami Heat.
It could be saving them, because they figured they should be able to beat Atlanta without much of a contribution from Oladipo, and then maybe they might be saving him for the later rounds. I don't know. But I mean, the guy got 40 some odd points the other night or last week, and then he doesn't play. That's just okay. But he's been hurt forever, so maybe, like I said, maybe they're just being cautious with him. So
you say 4 or 5 in that series?
Yeah. I mean, look, Atlanta might get one because Trey might go off. He might get 50, right? And then and then a couple of other guys will get hot, and they might win one in Atlanta. I could see that because Miami is not a juggernaut by any stretch, so they can be beat, but they're not going to be beat 4 times by Atlanta.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to try to give the Atlanta Hawks a game just because of what you just said with Trey possibly going off for one game. We all know he's capable of that. But we're talking about one of the best defensive schematic coaches in the NBA. We saw it on Friday, or not on Friday, but we saw it on Saturday. So they're going to make it however many games of hell for Trae Young. They have pieces to guard him. So I'll go 5 with that series for sure.
Yeah.
Now the most entertaining series, and I think will probably be the best first round series in the NBA, is maybe are they your Boston Celtics or your Brooklyn Nets? I see you wearing the hat today. Maybe I know you're just repping because they are from Jersey.
Right.
But the Boston Celtics and the Brooklyn Nets 2-7 matchup. This series got off to a blockbuster start from the moment the ball tipped off. We all know that Boston is one of the toughest places to play in. We've heard numerous of historic stories from anywhere from just plain out racism to disrespect from fans. You're going to hear it all. And you forget to mention, I always forget to mention that Kyrie Irving has once played for the Boston Celtics, promised pretty much Celtics fans that he wanted to come back here long term. And how that's played out has been amazing. So we all know that game ended up in one of the most, not weirdest buzzer beater, but one of the most coolest buzzer beaters. It wasn't an ISO play. It was the ball moving and somebody Jason Tatum cut into the basket and finding a layup with no time left on the clock. But we know Kyrie got off that game. Kevin Durant did his thing. We're going to have to talk more a little bit before I can really give what I think, how many games this is going to go. But man, this is going to be a fun series. Pep, what did you see out there in this series, in this game?
Well, KD had a subpar game. And then Kyrie at the beginning was subpar, actually. He finally started, he warmed up as the game went on, and then he went lights out. But Kyrie, he does that. I mean, look, Kyrie's an alpha dog, okay? I don't care what anybody says. He ain't nobody's Robin, And the Nets, what they made their mistake was, number one, when Kyrie hit the 3-pointer and go up 114-111, Boston came down and scored on a layup within 2 seconds.
Yep.
Come on. And then the following offensive possession for the Nets, they didn't know what they were doing. And Steve Nash had 2 timeouts and didn't use them. What are you doing? What are you looking at? You could see they were struggling. Call timeout, man. What are you doing?
I'm
and
definitely
it was
going.
smart for Boston not to call timeout on their possession because they know that New Jersey would, or excuse me, the Brooklyn would be scrambling. You know, and they figured, look, it's already, well, it wasn't tied. They were down 1. So, but still, I don't know. And Michael Carter posed a good question, which I had thought of watching the game. Why didn't L.A. or LaMarcus Aldridge or Blake Griffin get in the game at all? The TNT crew talked about Brooklyn's lack of rebounding, lack of big men. Well, those are 2 big guys. Why aren't they being used? I mean, I don't get it.
I mean, in the defense, especially for LaMarcus Aldridge, he's still proven that he can give a lot for the Brooklyn Nets. I think what the problem is for him consistently getting on the floor right now is he is pretty much a shell defensively, and they are switching everything against Boston Celtics team that has sometimes 3 or 4 guys that can, break you down off the dribble and get a bucket. But to your point, I mean, they also have guys like Al Horford and Daniel Theis on the floor at all times as well. So I think it's fair to say it's been almost 2 years now for Steve Nash. I'm not impressed, and I'm saying that he is, in my opinion, he's my favorite player to ever play. But him as a coach, I'm really not impressed so far with the roster he's been given over the last couple of years. I understand that he's dealt with injuries, but no, I'm not too impressed so far about his coaching ability. There has to be more for the Brooklyn Nets instead of just giving the ball to Kevin Durant and giving the ball to Kyrie and moving out the way. I think they played solid defensively yesterday or a couple days ago. I will say that we all thought that was going to be a major problem for them. But yeah, it's going to take people don't get it full. Boston Celtics are the hottest team since the calendar year started over.
28-7.
Yeah. They are the better team out of these 2. It's going to take.
I've said it as well that Boston is the better team, and I do expect them to win this series. But I don't want. Yes, I want Brooklyn to win, of course. And I look, Kyrie's my guy, KD's my guy, but Charles Barkley made a great point yesterday. I know Charles says some crazy stuff, but he said those 2 have to play great every game for them.
I was just about to say that. Yeah.
They have to, and he's not wrong.
Yeah, it's going to take.
Mills has to give him more than 3 points, man.
Yep, that too.
And Seth Curry's got to, he's got to be in double figures. Has to.
Yeah, no, you make both good points. KD and Kyrie have to play at elite levels every night, but they have to get help from Seth, from the other Patty Mills. Andre Drummond's going to have to chip in on both sides of the floor. All those guys, all those pieces are going to have to do their job. I'm going to say Boston 7. We want to see Kevin. I mean, the thing is, we want to see Kevin Durant and Kyrie play at these superstar levels and make it to the finals because we want to see the best players on the floor on the biggest stage. But with that being said, I think Boston's a better team, and I got Boston in 6 or 7.
I said initially Boston in 6, but if KD and Kyrie both are spectacular, then it will go 7. Okay. And the 7th game's in Boston, so you never know what happens there. So stuff like yesterday, and it usually goes into Boston's favor. So we'll see.
3-6 matchup, Milwaukee Bucks, Chicago Bulls. I watched that game. Yeah, I was actually going to say that Chicago's best chance of winning a game was yesterday. Milwaukee played, in my opinion, subpar, couldn't make shots.
Yeah, Middleton was Where was he?
Middleton, like we've seen performances like this before of him in the playoffs. But yeah, he wasn't nowhere to be found.
Rick and
Holiday
was subpar.
Yeah. So in my opinion, that was Chicago's best chance of stealing the game, and they played bad too. And they can't.
Yeah,
they
got
can't
DeRozan,
afford to play
man.
bad against the Milwaukee Bucks. They can't.
Yeah, him and
they're
Levine
not
were throwing up bricks.
Yeah, DeMar DeRozan played, didn't shoot well. Vucevic didn't shoot well. Zach didn't shoot well. But I'll tell you this, and Chicago Bulls fans, they're not going to see that Milwaukee play like that again.
No.
So that was really disappointing to not see Chicago come up with that one. I think that could have really gave them some momentum. But I think we both agree. I think Milwaukee's going to win that series in 4.
Oh, yeah.
And then another sweep, I think, is going to happen. Philadelphia 76ers, your 4th seed, playing the Toronto Raptors. They just won. They're up 2-0 now. Boy, man, they just look like Toronto. Like there looks like there's still some pain from when Kawhi Leonard put out the Philadelphia 76ers a few years ago because they are punishing the Toronto Raptors right now. And it's good to see Joel Embiid dominating. James Harden played solid game 1. He played really well today in game 2. That's the James Harden we need to see from now on for the rest of the playoffs. But Toronto just doesn't have enough. And then on top of that, they now have some hurt players. I can't think of the rookie's
they're
name.
hurt.
Yeah.
You're right. Scotty Barnes.
Yeah, Scotty Barnes twisted his ankle really bad last game. Gary Trent Jr.
Not Van Vliet.
Yeah, he's not. And then Gary Trent Jr. was a game time decision coming into this game.
Well,
he's sick too. Yeah, he's sick.
Yeah, non-COVID, but he's sick. So, but I will say this about Toronto: they seem to be a whole different team up in Canada when they play at home.
True.
I mean, I've been watching the NBA a long time. I've seen this movie before. I've seen teams look terrible first 2 games, go home, get some home cooking, whatever, and next thing you know, it's like, who are these guys? How come they weren't playing like this before? So I am not expecting a sweep. Now look, I won't be surprised if there is, but I'm not expecting a sweep. I think Toronto will get one in Toronto.
And a quick note, remember Matisse Thybulle is not available in Toronto because of he's not vaccinated. And people say, well, how much is he really going to help? Just like you just made a point, but when you're playing on the road, you need every you need every help possible that you can get when you're on the road. We know Matisse is a disruptor defensively, that's going to be, I won't say it's going to be pivotal, but it's a big loss to not have him for 2 games, especially just like you said, Toronto gets hot on the road. It can change the series a little bit. But as of right now, if Scotty Barnes can't go in game 3, I think this might be a sweep.
Okay.
On to
head out west now, brother?
Yeah, out west. We starting up at the top, man. I've been waiting all year back to get to this point. My Phoenix Suns at the number 1 seed. They got the Pelicans at the 8 seed.
Paul looked magnificent.
Oh man. To even start off, to watch how they played defensively in that first half, holding an NBA team in the playoffs to 30-something points in the first half. It just showed to me that the Phoenix Suns have one thing on their mind coming into this playoffs, and that is to avenge the loss of losing in the finals last year. They played really well. I think they had just a little bump in the third quarter, kind of taking their foot off the gas. CJ McCollum started making shots, so did Brandon Ingram. But just like you said, Mr. Vet, Mr. Chris Paul, Mr. So Cool, so clutch. He felt that, and he took control of that game in the third quarter, and led on into the fourth quarter. We had 19 and put his team on his back. People question why he got paid so much at 36 years old. This is why. These are the type of moments that the Phoenix Suns are going to need. Chris Paul, understanding it's just the first round. He's capable of doing this against anybody on any level. But if I'm playing devil's advocate here,
I'm glad you mentioned.
What was that?
Hold on a sec. I just want to say I'm glad you mentioned Chris Paul's age, because we
Mhm.
all season long have talked about LeBron. He's 37 and what he's done, which he's awesome. I mean,
Mhm.
I get that. But Chris Paul is 36 and a guard, right?
Yep.
Which is unbelievable. And he's 36 playing like he's 26.
36
You know?
and not
So,
athletic.
wow.
Not athletic in a position that is
Yeah,
super,
he's never
so
been a
athletic.
super
right?
athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you. But if we're playing devil's
But
advocate,
I see a sweep in that one. Huh?
yeah, definitely. Now, what the New Orleans Pelicans did well yesterday, they killed the Suns on the offensive glass. They didn't make shots in the first half, but they started making shots in the second half. I liked how they played. What was that?
New Orleans is too streaky.
Yes.
If McCollum does not get it going early, they don't have a shot.
No,
if they're going to beat Phoenix, McCollum's going to have to get 40. Ingram's going to have to get 40 or 30-ish for them to have a shot to beat Phoenix.
Because who else is
And I
gonna
don't see
score
that
for them?
happen.
Yeah, I don't.
Right.
There's nobody outside of those two who can go get themselves a bucket.
And
those
like
guys have to be
Durant,
yeah,
like
exactly.
Durant and Kyrie got to play outstanding. So does McCollum and Ingram. They got to. They got to
Definitely.
bring it, because if they don't, they ain't got a shot.
Yeah, I agree with you, Pep. I think that one will be a sweep, respectively. And then the funnest matchup on the Western Conference side, the number 2 seed, the Memphis Grizzlies, will be playing the Minnesota Timberwolves. And this all started out for the Minnesota Timberwolves with their playing game against the LA Clippers, with a very emotional win for the Timberwolves to push them back into the playoffs. But they took they're taking this personal. And they were a decent team in the regular season. They were not like the Pelicans who were under 500 and squeaked their way into the playoffs. If the playoffs was set, they would have made it. As a
They were what? They were 11, 12 games over 500. So
yeah. So,
but I think Memphis. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was gonna say I think Memphis got taught a lesson.
Mhm.
They were the hottest team, not named Phoenix or Boston, and Memphis looked at Minnesota and like, oh, we're gonna breeze through these guys, and they found out a little bit different. Now I think you're gonna see a shift. I think you're gonna see a different tone with Memphis now. I expect Memphis probably to win the next 4. To be honest,
Okay.
I mean, I like what Minnesota's doing, but I think Memphis has been. I mean, they've been great. And so the accolades that they gotten were deserved. But I think they just got taught a lesson. You know, this is the playoffs now, and you got to level up. And they didn't do that, but I think they will now. I think they learned. Or if they haven't, then I don't know what to tell you.
Now this is why I think this wasn't, I feel like, the best matchup for the Memphis Grizzlies. Because what Memphis does well is what Minnesota does well. They both like to push the pace. So now the question will be, and I think what remains for me personally to be seen, when the game slows down, Pep, who's getting a bucket for Memphis?
Who's getting? Oh, if it slows down.
Yes. Who do you see who can consistently get a bucket?
Bane or Morant.
Okay. Now would you say that they are better than that, better than a D'Angelo Russell and a Karl Towns, and maybe even Anthony Edwards?
Now those are great. That's a great question. And to be honest, Minnesota's got 3 top-notch guys that can score, create their own shot, and Memphis maybe has 2 or 3. So, but see, Memphis has more depth, and I think that's what's going to carry them.
Depth and they guard,
I'm
which is
hoping anyway. I don't want you wrong.
Depth and defense has to be. I think they kind of have to get a little bit back to gritting and grinding defensively. I think that's where Minnesota's overly matched in that series. I'm saying this one is one to go 6 or 7, but I still got Memphis coming out of that one.
Okay. Well, we got about less than 2 minutes, so we got to go quick.
Okay. Yeah, quickly. The Warriors. They're playing the the Warriors are playing the Nuggets. Golden State won the first game. Jordan Poole looked amazing in his first playoff game.
Yep.
In this series, if Jokic can wake up, I think this is going to go 6 or 7. I do see the Warriors winning. Last time I checked, the Denver Nuggets are up at this moment right now. But I got the Warriors in 6.
Okay. I got the Warriors in 6. And Dallas just beat Utah now. So that one is tied 110-104. And I was just telling Doreen a few minutes ago, because they were down 7. If they don't win this game, they might get swept, especially if Luka doesn't come back. So
yeah, Jalen Brunson at 40. Oh my
They
gosh,
needed
wow.
this one in the worst way.
Yes, they'll have 2 days off. They can get Luka Doncic back. They're in great position going into Utah, tied 1-1 without a Luka Doncic. Utah could be in trouble. That's those 2 games they were supposed to have. So I'm gonna go Dallas in 7.
All right. Well, that's all the time we got. Lil O, man, it was a pleasure. Thank you for being the quarterback today. I'm Renault Pepe Bean. Next week, Granville should be back from the Big Easy, and we got more sports talk for you on LidLine Sports as we see it from just below our lid. Holla.
I go to work like a doctor when I